we used to be called Lazy K in the very beginning, and that's named after my aunt's ranch, which stands for the Lazy Canal. And we got together to do some country covers at a bar called the Tap Room in Lawrence, Kansas. And then eventually we dropped to Lazy K, and then over like the last like 3 years or so, it's been kind of coming back somewhat. And people say, "Oh, you're not lazy because you're so active." So I put the K in front of the not, so it's K-N-O-T, so it's not lazy, and then lazy. And then some people spell it like N-O-T, not lazy, back and forth. So it's a way to bring back like Lazy K, but also lazy. I don't know. It's kind of a fun game to play.
People will say like, "You're not lazy, right?" And we're like, "No, we are lazy." And we're like, "No, we're not." So it
just keeps going. Maybe like a work ethic, I guess being not lazy about it. There's a lot of DIY spaces, a lot of good venues, a lot of bars around Kansas City, Lawrence especially. So that's pretty fun. It's nice to see like the local bands and the kind of grassroots people approach it. There's not a lot of media press. There's not a lot of big outlets for music around the area. So it's definitely a lot of work to be a part of.
Watching a lot of Disney movies growing up, pulling inspiration from Ursula and I don't know, all of the different kinds of like culture growing up, like not having a lot to do, so watching like weird Disney movies and stuff, and like pulling from that kind of thing too. Coming from the Midwest, not having anything to do, so being goth.
Yeah, you have to make up while you're on the phone. So, there's a great history of great, crazy, wacky Midwestern bands, and it's nice to be a part of that. I've done some research on Kansas bands or Missouri bands as well, and Nebraska bands. They're all great. They have kind of meta worlds that they live in.
Why Obsession? Is this lyrically based, music based?
Also came from like a moment in time where we were thinking of renaming the band again, and it was kind of a possibility, but we decided it would be a better album title just to encompass that time period, of songs that were coming out at that time. But then ended up staying with Lazy as the name. That's
It's more of already having like a pre-existing group of songs, but through the process of recording, like stuff will sprout up and things will kind of twist and turn. But a lot of it's pretty much already thought out. It's very methodical. We were just kind of tuning up and getting situated, like tuning and getting stuff ready. And I think we just started patting the guitar, kind of like picking time almost, just kind of like snapping. And then I bought a big bag of Jelly Bellies, and I was on a roll, and I could predict the flavors from like across the room.
Ashley and I would hold them up while he was behind the studio wall. And we'd name them, and we'd taste them and see if he was right or not.
So I would say watermelon, red cherry, lemonade. And I got about 3 out of 5 maybe right. So it turned into Psychic Jelly game, and then Psychic Jelly. A lot of stuff. I digest a lot, but for these recordings, it's I was listening to a lot of just kind of lo-fi punk recordings and kind of like music from New Zealand, like post-punk bands or punk bands from there, and also this anarchistic punk band called Crass. I listen to them a lot, and yeah, a lot of those kind of came into these recordings. There's this band called Puro Instinct I like a lot. They're from Los Angeles. I think they used to be called Pearl Harbor, and now they're called Puro Instinct.
There's this great band called Supersonic Fist. I just saw it in the show. I think they're from Iowa City.
Shania Twain.
Shania Twain.
X.
Yeah, X is a big influence.
The Cramps.
Lydia Lunch. Ursula. Ariel. Little Mermaid. keep singing.
I'm trying to think.
The Roxy.
Well, recently we found this, in Kansas City is pretty big and there's a lot of suburbs in it, but one of our friends is this band called Yam. They play kind of like psychedelic music, and he lives in this place called Overland Park, which is like a suburban area, like definitely like the burbs. I guess like it would be like in Orange County or something.
Right.
So he knew this place called the Roxy, and he's like, "Do you want to play the Roxy with us?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." Well, okay, let's do it. And it turns out it was a lot of fun. It was a great stage, beautiful lighting.
Our friend's dad also played the first show there ever. Like when the place was opening, like he played like the opening show. And so we're like, I don't know about this.
This is kind of like a weird dive bar, you know, in the suburbs, but they had a $2 anything at the bar, so you can get like $2 Grey Goose, $2 like any drink you can imagine.
It was out shots.
Yeah, so there's a lot of shots, and it was a good time.
It's pretty apprehensive when we walked by the soundboard, and the sound guy was like sleeping on it, like bent over, but like whatever, he still did a good job.
Lots of metal dudes were there.
Lots of metal dudes.
What was his name? JFN. Wow.
Yeah. Jay Crazy.
All these metal guys were like in the front, like jamming. It was a good experience. It was funny.
It was wild. Yeah. And maybe one of the worst shows we did, I remember it was in Eugene, Oregon, and we were on our first tour, and the opening band, I think they were like older, kind of like shock punk guys, but they had kind of a hillbilly thing going on, so they had no shirts on and kind of like,
Interesting.
you know, tank tops, and this is at the time we were really trying to work with gothic, so we had like a ton of face makeup on, with like Kiss gone wrong, and the guy on stage is like, "There's a bunch of transvestites out there, there's a bunch of faggots," you know, and he was like totally bashing us.
Yeah.
And then it was also dead empty.
We hadn't even played yet.
We hadn't even played yet, and then, but the stage is huge, it's capacity for like 2,000 people, and we're like, ugh. And then later on they're like, "You guys did a great job, thanks for coming out, blah blah blah," but it was still like an awkward experience of being like haunted before you get on, and then having to be empty while you're there, and plus being way out of town, so what are you doing?